Hey everybody, it's April with Cannabis Care Team. I am just gonna wait a few minutes. I'm sorry we are getting started a few minutes late, but I'm gonna wait a few more minutes before we introduce Dana and I tell you about what she's gonna do. So while I'm doing that, I just have a couple announcements to make. So there's quite a few journals out there at this point, and they're getting in the hands of lots of patients. So we wanted to let everybody know that we will actually give a journal to a friend of yours or whoever you tag on Instagram if you take a picture and post it on Instagram, either of your cover, and this is just mine, or of a completed journal page. So journaling your treatment with medical cannabis is so important. So we want these journals to get in the hands of more patients. So if you have a journal, decorate it, take a picture, and post it to Instagram. All right, so we're having a patient drive on Saturday in downtown Lee Summit, Missouri. I know not all of you are local. We also have a way for patients to get certified or their physician recommendation online through our website, cannabiscareteam.com. But the great thing about the event on Saturday is not only do you get to sit down with a doctor and a nurse to get your certification, but you're also going to make sure you know what exactly you need to do to get started. We're going to talk about delivery methods, we're going to talk about dosing, and what may be best for you. Which reminds me, of course, as with any video, I have to give you my disclaimer. So this is just for educational purposes only. If you have specific questions about your condition or before you take any actions based on what I say, make sure you talk to your personal healthcare provider first. I have to say that to cover myself. All right, so I'm getting ready to introduce Dana. I'll be right back. I gotta put something on. So tonight, I'm actually gonna be modeling one of my grandmother's aprons. Look how cute this is. Double-sided, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go with the blue side tonight. But Dana Howard is here from Infused KC, and she is going to show us how to get from flower to food. So Dana, come over here. Dana is a professional. She's much better at this than I am.
Hi everyone.
And I'm super excited about what she's gonna show you. She's gonna show you a technique that I've never used that's super easy. But we just wanted to show people that if you find a really good strain that you like and that works really well for you, you can take that and make it into anything. You can make it into an oil you put under your tongue. You can take that and make it into food. So there's so many different things you can do, and especially for Missourians. As we know, there's only going to be flower available for the next few months once the dispensaries open up. So we hope that this will be a helpful show. So Dana, tell us a little bit about why you are doing this now and kind of what got you started with infusions.
Well, I had my own catering company for many years, and I did just regular food. I worked with, some very prestigious companies in Kansas City before that, and I've always been in the food industry. When I took a trip to Colorado and I kind of toured some dispensaries and tried some of the edibles, I thought, wow, this is great, but it really could be better. And so when I came back to Kansas City, I saw that there were just CBD stores everywhere, and I was like, wow, okay, so I like CBD and I like what it does for me. So how can I put it together with the one thing that I know best, which is food? And then I thought, okay, well, Infused KC.
Yes, yeah. Perfect.
So I've been infusing for a little over a year now, and it's just fun. I keep coming up with new stuff and, helping different patients. And, I always answer my emails. If anyone has any questions about infusing food, they can always email me.
Yes. Oh, and I've got one of her new shirts on that Bolesworth designed and did for her. So great job, Jake. Really liking how soft they are. So Dana has a Facebook page and a website. Her Facebook page is awesome. She posts lots of pictures, right, of things that she's made, and I seriously don't believe her half the time that she made that stuff because the pictures are too pretty. But she does. She actually makes those, and she is awesome at what she does. I'm super excited. So she's gonna walk us through how to make hot chocolate sticks. What I'm gonna do real quick is I'm gonna show you my old-fashioned way of making CBD oil, because CBD oil is honestly so expensive.
Yeah.
I consume about 200 milligrams a day, so I make my own. So I'm gonna show you the good old-fashioned crock pot method. All right, so what I do, and there's more than one way to skin a cat, okay? This works for me. I end up with a product I'm satisfied with, so this is just what I do. But I take my flour, my CBD flour, and I decarboxylate it after I've ground it up. Now I use a coffee grinder. So as you can see, this is my special flour coffee grinder. So I grind it up, I decarboxylate it, and then, you know, I just, with this stuff that I have right here, actually what I did with this is I used butter. So normally I would take like coconut oil or MCT oil, and I would put how much oil I wanted to make in there, and then I would put the flour in. These things are awesome. So these are disposable tea bags that you can fill up, all right, from Teavana. And I'm just gonna lean this over a little bit, but this has been cooking since about 10 a.m. Let me see if I can pull one of these out. So that's the tea bag, okay, with all the flour in it that's ground up, and this butter is actually super, super green and smells really, really yummy. So what I'll do with this, and Dana will walk you through the calculations, but what I'll do with this is I'll stick it in the fridge after I've cooked it on low for about 12 hours. You know, I gotta stir it every once in a while, but it'll be nice and green. I do add a half a cup of water. So for this particular recipe, I used an ounce of flour, I used a cup and a half of butter, and then I used a half a cup of water. And the reason why you use the water is because it'll separate in the fridge, and you can drain the water off, and apparently, like, you get rid of some of the bad taste or something. Dana will probably explain to you why you do that.
I have to say something though. I love that you put the water in it, because it gives the butter less of an opportunity to scorch.
Yes, see,
Yeah.
I know I was doing something right. So my this little crock pot over here, actually, I got that for $10 at a thrift store. So you don't need fancy equipment like this. But yeah, mine runs a little hot, so I actually have it on low for a couple hours, and then I turn it to warm, and I've checked the temperature. I know what this thing usually runs. It's like 220, which is a good cooking temp for 12 hours. Now this awesome thing, a lot of people use these. This is an infusion machine that you can purchase, and you can decarb, you can infuse your oil. It's really cool, but it's over $100, so I just use my $10 crock pot. So I'm not really looking to see if we have any questions at this point, but if anyone has questions about how I did in the crock pot, please just type that question in, and we'll make sure we get your answer. So I'm gonna let Dana take it over from here because I'm so excited. Let me get some of this stuff out of your way.
Okay. So this is the recipe from my Evolution Magazine December issue, and it's hot chocolate on a stick. And you know, I know it's supposed to get a little bit warmer this weekend, but that's okay because winter's coming. So for mine, I did use the Active Gear Guide because that's what I use, just because it's easy and I can let my flour decarb in here and just let it sit. For this recipe, we're just gonna use 6 ounces of milk chocolate, and I have it melting already. So it's in my little magic melting machine. And this is when you want to add your oil. So I have oil that I use. And let's go over how to make it really quick. So I set up a double boiler here, and all it has is water in the bottom of just my regular saucepan and like a microwave safe bowl.
When she told me she was bringing over her double boiler, I thought it was going to be like this super high-tech thing. And I was like, wow, I don't have one of those. But
No.
now I know. I probably have one too. I'm so excited.
Oh yeah, you can just make
Right.
one. So we're just gonna do regular coconut oil here. And I'm doing 1/4 of a cup because I don't want to add too much oil to my chocolate. So we have it there, and just scoop it right into the top of your double boiler, or your makeshift double boiler. We're French, okay?
Yes, yes. She's had all the training that I have not, so.
So where'd you get this?
So that is actually from Blue Key CBD. It came from a CBD shop in St. Louis. However, the CBD flower that's actually in there was grown in Missouri by Skytrace
Good.
Farms. So these are, I think,
Awesome.
their 3 most popular CBD strains. And if you guys weren't aware, CBD is non-psychoactive. It's non-intoxicating. So I know so many people who are on CBD and have to spend over $100 a month on the oil. So we're just showing you how to, you know, affordably make it yourself. It's not that hard.
Yeah, I started making my own when I realized how much I was overspending, and I just, you know, there's no reason for it, especially if you need it for a medical reason. It's crazy out there. So I'm just gonna break it up like this. Just break it up.
It smells really good.
It does.
All right,
And
so
it doesn't matter if there's stems in there because we're just gonna go ahead and strain it when it's done. All right, so now I have oil and flour in my bowl. And I'm just gonna put it on the stove and let the water in the pan boil. And then the oil will melt and it will all start to kind of like infuse and go together and become goodness.
awesome. So I think I know it smells so good, and that it's a sour space candy. Now I've got the certificate of analysis here, and what's great is that we know the percent of CBD that's in that flour. A lot of times, you know, we come in across flour, we don't know what percentage, but I think best practice is to find the average percentage of that strain and use that. So for the butter I made, or I'm making it, it's 15% of the cannabinoids, and based on the 1.5 cups of butter I use, it's gonna end up being like 4,200 milligrams in that 1.5 cups of butter. So that's a lot, but you know, I'll cook that down with some other butter before I actually make anything with it. But you can put that butter straight in, like, cookies. You could put it on corn on the cob. Anything you use butter for. But so that has a lot of alpha pinene, which I could definitely smell, and then some limonene as well. So I could immediately smell those terpenes when she opened that up, and those are 2 terpenes that do provide a lot of medical benefits. So.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Well, that's exciting that we get to infuse our food with something that's going to actually help us.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get onto the chocolate. I have my own little mold here, and you can get these at the store. They're just regular molds. I've got a half sphere, you know, if you want to do half spheres, whatever, or Halloween shapes. So you can, yeah. So you can make little chocolates, you know, to pull out of the fridge and eat, or you can make the hot chocolate on a stick. It doesn't matter. But we brought these cute little spoons to put it on. So I have these cute little spoons, and I'm gonna go grab my chocolate.
So chocolate's actually really good for you. The dark chocolate, right? It's got a ton of antioxidants in it. It's got a ton of flavonoids in it. We're actually learning a lot about the flavonoids that we find in cannabis as well. Dark chocolate is good for your endocannabinoid system, and we really want a nice balanced endocannabinoid system so we can have a nice balanced body. So not all chocolate is bad.
No, chocolate is good.
It is good. It is good.
Yeah.
No, white chocolate though, white chocolate is just pure sugar, so I do try to avoid that.
Oh, okay.
But
So what I did here was I just put my chocolate in my little melter. If you don't have one of these, that's okay. Just use your double boiler, or some of these chocolate melts you can use in the microwave. So you can just microwave it to melt it. This is like a little pro tip. I put these in my chocolates, and it's like, it thins it so that it's not too thick and clumpy. So this
Wow.
makes it like easy to, spread with a spoon, or you can drizzle it, or, whatever. Just what you want to make sure you do is temper the chocolate, which is with milk chocolate, bring it to about 100 or 105. Anything over that is just, you don't need to go anything over that, it could be too much. But when you temper the chocolate, it keeps it from melting. Like, you pick it up with your hands, it won't melt in your hand. And it also gives it a nice silky smooth look and texture.
wow, I never knew any of this. I've been burning my chocolate, I think.
That's okay. It didn't taste burnt?
Well, maybe sometimes, but if it's on top of a strawberry, it's not that.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna pour it into the mold.
All right, now all right, so you have added the MCT,
Yes.
right?
So
And-
I brought my own MCT infused oil here. And you put it into the chocolate before it melts. So-
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, because if you put too much moisture into a pan of chocolate that's already melted, it could seize. And you don't want to waste your product like that.
Yeah. So we had someone ask a question earlier. It was, can you burn or can you ruin the cannabinoids when you are cooking?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
tell us how to avoid that.
Your terps and your cannabinoids all have a boiling point. So there's a lot of charts out there, but I don't bake anything over 325 because you start to kill CBD at 335. So that's really close.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can get charts out there that show you even what the boiling points are for your terps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for more of the medical benefits of like beta carotene or CBN, they all have an ideal temperature. And that's why, when people talk about consuming either CBD or cannabis, smoking it is really not the most medical way to do it because you're actually burning a ton of those beneficial cannabinoids and terpenes off. Of course, a lot of times it just does the trick and people need that quick acting solution, but there's definitely some loss of medical benefit with that.
Yeah, I would definitely keep the temperature low unless you're looking for that like quick fix like you said. But if you're worried about getting all the benefits, then keep your temperature low.
Okay, yum.
So I poured the chocolate into the mold, put the spoons in, and then just sprinkled some little teeny marshmallows on
That is so cute.
top. So
Oh my
let's throw
gosh.
it in the fridge
Yeah.
and let it sit.
All right, don't look at my dirty fridge, okay?
She's cleaning it right now.
Yeah, here, let me move. We have like 12 jars of pickles in here. It's been canning season lately. Okay, all right, I think we've got room.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
So that recipe is like the easiest thing you could possibly do.
Yeah, so what we'll do at some point is we'll take the chocolate sticks after they're cooled and just stir it in like how much hot water?
Just like a regular mug,
Wow.
8-ounce cup. Yeah.
That's
Do you have if you don't have a tea kettle, then, just boil some water on
Yeah.
the stove.
yeah.
Yeah. And then pour it over and it melts it. turns into
Yeah.
a beautiful French hot chocolate.
Yummy. All right. Hey, let's talk. Can we talk about dosing a little bit? That's
Yeah.
something I always get asked about. Well, how do I know? And when I started making the can of oil in the crock pot, I was like, I have no idea how many milligrams is in a serving. So tell us how you calculate that.
So I just use an online calculator, and that's the easiest way to go, especially if you're at home, you're a patient, and you're not too keen on this stuff. It's called wakeandbake.co, and it's an online calculator. All you do is plug in your numbers. So you just
Right.
plug in your numbers. My CBD flour is 15%, and then this is how many servings I'm making, and this is how much oil I'm using, and then it calculates it right there for you.
Yes, it's so easy. There's another one I use, like Hemster something.
Mhm.
But yeah, all I need to know is the weight. And if you're purchasing CBD flour or cannabis flour from a
store,
store or
dispensary.
retail place, they'll have the weight there. But you can always use a scale to get the weight of your flour. So usually in grams, I weigh it in grams, and I think there's like 28 grams in an ounce. And so, that's going to be some really strong butter over there. But how many milligrams do you think it'll be in one of those little hot chocolates?
And one of those little hot chocolates,
Yeah.
I have 220 milligrams in a teaspoon, and I used a half.
Okay.
So then we just divide it by 4.
Okay.
So it's gonna be
Perfect amount.
Yeah.
Perfect dose
Just
for
enough.
me. Yeah, and I think so many people, they're almost scared to take the CBD, scared to take the appropriate dose because they know, okay, if I am taking a full dropper, this is only going to last me like 15 days, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it can, so again, this is a way to save money. But with those dosages on CBD, there's like an ideal starting dose for everybody, but people oftentimes have to double, quadruple, and keep going up from there until they find a dose that helps with their side effects, but or helps with their symptoms, but doesn't cause a lot of side effects.
yeah. I've always said start out low and increase as needed, because you don't want to waste it, but you want to get a feel for it, and then maybe stop taking it for a couple days and see how you feel, and see what's coming back, like what aches and pains are coming back, what feelings are coming back.
Absolutely.
Just so you can be aware of what it's doing for you.
Yeah. So I'll share this story. I share a lot of family stories and not too many of my own, but everyone. So I'd seen the medical benefits of cannabis for my own child and some other family members and friends, and for myself. But the CBD thing, I'll be honest, I don't know if I really bought it in the beginning. It's a couple years ago. I'm like, how can a plant make anyone feel that great? Like, takes away anxiety, pain, it's anti-inflammatory. Like, there's no way. So I started taking it, and I really didn't think I had that many issues, but it was, and I took it for a good 6 months before I actually realized it was working, because I had a friend here and she needed some ibuprofen, and I went to get the ibuprofen and I didn't even know what it was, and I realized I haven't taken ibuprofen in like 4 months, and I was taking like 800 milligrams a day, 3 times a day, and I don't know why I'd never thought about it, but it's seriously, it was the only thing that I had changed. So I definitely credit CBD to providing a lot of relief with chronic pain that I experienced, that I had really just gotten used to living with.
Yeah. Well, with someone with anxiety like me, and it's something that I've had since I was a teenager, and I used to have panic attacks. So the only way without medication was just to talk yourself down.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like any of the meds that they tried to put me on. None.
Yeah.
And so I just went without anything until I started taking CBD, and I realized that this is what normal feels like.
Yeah.
Like, I feel normal. There's no side effects from the drugs or, prescriptions that I've been given. And I don't have this clenching in my chest or my jaw.
Mm-hmm.
And I can sleep, and I'm not overthinking.
Yeah.
And it's CBD. It's awesome.
Yes, it is. It is awesome. It's amazing. Does anyone have any questions at this point? I could just share story after story if you guys want me to. Does eggs and green toast breakfast of champions? Yes, absolutely. I agree. Does it still have silky texture with mushrooms in it?
In the chocolate?
Yeah, I don't. It probably doesn't matter if you've got mushrooms in it. But baking at low pressure, high altitude help preserve more potency. That's a good question for the chef.
Well, I haven't done any altitude tests, so I'm not quite sure on that. I've only done this here in Missouri. I did not do it in Colorado.
Well, thank you for answering that. All right.
Of course.
All right. So, I would like to kind of walk you through another favorite cannabis edible of mine. If you guys want to learn what a really good breakfast smoothie is. Okay, super, super easy and simple, and it's great. So you may be aware that THCA is really the cannabinoid that's prevalent in leaves and in flowers before the product has been heated. So THCA is actually really good at reducing inflammation, and it's really good at reducing nausea and vomiting and so many other things. So I kind of like to have a THCA smoothie every morning. So what I do, and it's non-intoxicating, right? So, it's, not gonna affect me, not gonna make me feel high or anything like that at all. But so these are just frozen mango chunks. And then I have a very nice grower, a caregiver for me, who grows, and he saves me all the fan leaves. And I know this probably sounds weird to put leaves, but people put spinach in their smoothie. People put celery.
Romaine.
Yeah, so I'm just taking, they've thawed out a little bit, they were frozen. But, so I'm just gonna take all these, stems and everything. And I'm just gonna dump them in there. And I'm gonna put a cup of water and blend this up. Of course, it helps if you have a blender that's really good at grinding that type of stuff up. But seriously, that's it. And you'll get all these beneficial cannabinoids, and you don't have to, it's so simple. You don't have to do anything. So every part of the plant, I think, is usable. So that's what is the cool thing about, there's so many cool things about this plant, but super cool. Just another benefit to growing your own medicine, because you can use all those wonderful things.
Okay. Do you want to show the oil?
Yeah, I think we should. It's looking good over there. Yes, I do have an oven mitt. All right, so do you want handmade or?
Oh yeah, handmade.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, here's one that actually has a pocket in it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Guys, this is awesome.
All right, but here's another one that might work better.
Okay.
This one.
I'm
This
just gonna...
one's handmade too. I think all of mine are.
Okay.
Woo.
So here's our oil. And right now, it's very clear because we just put it on.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, in my kitchen, I would let this go for 2 hours so that it can get all the infusion into the oil. And then just let it go nice and slow. And the flavor is just perfect at that time.
Yeah, and so that's got coconut oil in it as the carrier oil. What I've done a lot is I've just added a teaspoon of that stuff to my coffee in the morning. Sometimes I even put it in the blender and kind of whip it up. So that's a good idea. You don't have to infuse it or put it into baked goods. There's so many things that you can do. You can take a spoonful of it and just consume it that way too.
I use MCT oil at home just because it's the liquid form, basically, of coconut oil. That way it doesn't become a solid again, and I can put it in a dropper just like this, that's how I make my CBD oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what I give my dog, and this is CBD and coconut oil, so it's hard, right? And I do keep it in the refrigerator, but you know, I take a spoonful out, I heat it up, you know, in a cup with some hot water. But I think there's advantages to using either option. MCT oil has its own medical benefits, just like coconut oil has its own medical benefits. I mean, there's so many oils out there, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it just depends, what are you looking for? Do you want an infused olive oil because you need more of those benefits? And what are some of the other things that you've seen people infuse into?
Well, I've seen them use jojoba oil for things like salves and lotions because it's better for the skin and it absorbs well. I've seen them use coconut oil for lotions and salves as well. So it's just whatever you want.
Yeah.
MCT oil obviously is ready to go, ready to use. And then there's butter, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is great. So who has questions about calculating? Does anyone have any questions about that? I know it's always seems so complicated, but when I finally became aware of those websites, it really didn't seem that complicated after all. Thank you. We love sharing our truths. That's how we decrease the stigma, right, for everything. I mean, we're not perfect, and we all have issues that we deal with, right? Can we talk delivery? Is there a difference between the different oils and butter, etc.? So yeah, different health benefits.
Well, you see, they all go into your body the same way, but the body treats them differently. So it just depends on how you want to feel your effect or how you want it to affect you. The reason why I use MCT oil is because of the way that I like the way the bioavailability is. As opposed to butter, I feel like butter loses a little bit of the purpose of the CBD.
Right,
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I don't know what the percentages are, but like each different oil there's a different level of like bioavailability. Like one of them is 60, one of them is 40. I don't know what they are, but it all depends on, you know.
And MCT oil goes straight to your small intestines, whereas butter gets stuck. You know, so you're either getting something that's going straight to where you want it to go, or you're taking a butter that's not necessarily being as effective as you think it's going to be because it's getting stuck in your stomach.
Yikes.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any notable differences with delivery between differences infusion carriers? So I've heard different things like I've heard sesame seed oil. Actually, if cannabis is infused with that, it will you'll feel the effects sooner in an edible. I think we're learning a lot about the different science at this point.
Yeah.
That's the only unusual thing that I've heard when it comes to like edibles and oils. It's pretty standard. You know, an edible, if it goes down to your gut, it's gonna take an hour to 2 hours before you really notice the effects. And then an oil that's absorbed in your mouth, I mean, same thing. It could take 15 minutes, but also you're probably gonna swallow a little bit, so it could take an hour or two. So for sublingual, so I do have some tips I wanna share. If you do decide to make your CBD and an MCT oil for sublingual delivery, which is under your tongue. So from the research that we have, it does seem that if you have a meal with fat before you consume the oil, that it's actually better absorbed. And then if you also brush your teeth really good, you brush your gums, you brush the inside of your cheeks, if you increase a lot of that blood flow, that will actually improve the absorption of the oil once you put it under your tongue. You know, put it under there, try to avoid eating or drinking for 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, really, you want to just keep it under your tongue, and if you have to swish it around your mouth, you know, if you swallow it, it's just going down to your gut, which therefore, you know, less of it will be available. Hey, yeah, no problem, James. And I'm so happy you're trying to quit smoking. So, you know, like I said earlier, because it is, usually people will feel the effects immediately. It can be really hard to quit that. So I think that dry herb vaping would be a decent choice for you. If you need that immediate effect. And what's great about dry herb vaping is that you can set the temperature of those devices based on the effects, right, that you want to feel.
Yeah.
And I know that vape cartridges got a really bad rap a couple years ago, but from all the research I've seen, they're so new, so we don't know, like 30 years down the road, what the effects are. But they have some extraction methods that actually keep the medicine pretty clean and intact, and seems to be pretty safe. Like they're just getting the oil, the cannabinoids, and the terpenes from that flower. There's a lot of methods that don't add anything at all. So
yeah, if you're getting it from a source that's safe, not off the street.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. So that's another option for people who need that immediate effect. How much does the potency get reduced from the heat of cooking? When I take oils uncooked, they seem to be stronger. That's a good question.
Go ahead. We both.
I don't have any experience with that particular phenomena. Usually, once it's decarboxylated, it's like activating the THC or the CBD, so I'm gonna feel more of those like psychoactive effects from THC.
The thing that I think that this might be touching on is either overcooking it or maybe not getting the dosage right.
Yeah.
Which could be an issue there.
Yeah. And it definitely can be an issue for people. I'm so happy that people are trying other forms of medicine other than pharmaceuticals. But I was there. I've done this before where I've just made a huge, like a pot of oil. I had no idea, and then I was CBD oil, of course. But I'm like giving brownies to people and things like that, and I really didn't know the milligrams, and I should have. So thankfully, when you purchase from a dispensary or a CBD store, they're going to tell you, the percentage and how to get that calculation, because over consuming an edible can be a really uncomfortable experience. Yes.
Yeah. You only do it once.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Most people.
Yeah. I've never done it. But it can be really scary for the person. I've gotten a lot of phone calls. I think I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah.
I think I need to go to the emergency room. That is a scary feeling, and if you feel like that for a couple hours, that would be awful. So.
Yeah, that's why you always want to either use that calculator or if you want to just do the hard math, you can.
Yeah.
And if your flour's 15%, just and how many servings you're gonna use. Okay, I'm gonna have 10 servings, so it's 150 milligrams per tablespoon of what you're using. Mm-hmm. So just know that 150 grams per tablespoon. Divide that by however many servings you're gonna have. And there you go. That's kind of a rule of thumb. Just so you don't overdo it or underdo it.
Yeah. So with this CBD butter over here, what I'm gonna do is, this is 4,200 milligrams, and I will just share. I have a little cheat sheet. So this, and I can post this on our Instagram or our Facebook, but it's just a little, super easy recipe and directions. But I know the weight in grams, 28 grams. I used a cup and a half of butter, and those 15% cannabinoids. So based on that, using one of those online calculators, is 4,200 milligrams. So I think that's how many teaspoons are in a cup and a half? Like 73, I think?
Yeah, about that.
So that's 58. I did the math earlier, obviously. That's 58 milligrams in a teaspoon. So depending on, what I was going to make, Halloween is coming up, might make something fun, right? I just want to be careful and make sure that I know how many milligrams is in each piece. Right. So, I'm going to just keep track of everything. But I do want to give everybody an update on this color. This looks so funky. And I know the bags.
It's actually a beautiful color.
Yeah, the bags aren't, sorry.
Let me see if I can
Yeah.
do this.
The bags don't really help, but it helps me so I don't have to like get all that flour and squeeze all that flour out of there. But that, I mean, that's a lot of cannabinoids and terpenes in that liquid. Good medicine.
Do you want to take a look at the chocolates?
Yes.
Okay.
And then also, Dana, when you have a minute, how do you strain your flour from your oil? Just curious.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
They're about ready. So I just use a cheesecloth bag, and I put my cheesecloth bag, and you can get them on Amazon or at the craft store or whatever. And I just put it in a jar, and then I pour it in. Everything's strained, and then you just squeeze it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really easy.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so they're about set. Not quite.
They look really good.
They're not set yet, guys.
I guess I'll have to save them all for myself later tonight.
Yeah, see? It's not ready yet.
Oh no. We'll put it back in.
Okay.
Well, so it's 7:45. Does anyone have any questions regarding cooking? I mean, really anything, honestly. Yes. Yes, James, green toast is honestly my favorite. Green toast and green coffee. Yeah, so 300 milligrams before you got on a flight. I mean, there are some people who have, I don't want to say high tolerance because we try to avoid saying that people have a high tolerance, but some people that may be totally fine for, but I would definitely not recommend starting on a dose that high.
No, I microdose, but that's because that's just me. But, other people take larger doses.
Hey, 5 milligrams, I'm good.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm a much happier person, just to be honest. And but totally functioning, don't feel high at all, just a little bit relaxed. And then, like I said, CBD, of course, helps quite a bit with that. And I do that a couple of different ways during the day. But, all right. So I think I'm going to just make some of those announcements again that I made in the beginning. My cannabis care team helper. Were there any questions I missed? All right, so the journals, okay, we talked about that a little bit. So is my personalized journal. All right, there's gonna be a YouTube video published or posted tomorrow on how to use the journal and what's in the journal. As I said, journaling is really important. We want to give more journals away to people. So if you have a journal or if you order a journal, they're available on Amazon, or if you get them from one of the nurses or doctors who have them, decorate it, post it, tag someone, and we will mail them a journal, because it is so important to keep track of what we're taking. So later, after this MCT oil is infused with the sour space candy, I want to write that strain down, and I want to write down the effects I experienced from it. It's going to be really important, so I know, is that something I want to purchase in the future? Is that something that helped with pain or sleep or anxiety? So tag a friend us on Instagram to send someone a journal. So Lee Summit, Missouri on Saturday from 11 to 5, we're having a patient drive where we want to get patients certified. They will be there with a nurse and a doctor, and you will not leave that appointment with questions unanswered. And we're going to make sure you know what's going to be the best delivery method for you, what your goals of treatment are, dosing, with dispensaries opening so soon, we might have a heads up on, where to be on the lookout and what part of the state to head to. And
We're
then-
all going there.
I know. Yes, and Dana, I think, is actually volunteering to bake or to cook for the event. Maybe, I don't know.
We'll see.
And then the first Tuesday of every month, I always want to do a Facebook Live. Next month, I think we're going to talk about myths and stigma. So if you have people who say things like, oh, people just consume cannabis to get high, that would be a really good one to have those people watch, because I will review the science and talk about how most people who are consuming cannabis aren't actually consuming it to get high. 69% of the people who consume it are actually just doing it because of medical reasons. So that'll be a good one. Tune in for that. Of course, if you follow us on YouTube, that means, or subscribe to our channel on YouTube, that means that more people will see us. Cannabis is in our name, so YouTube likes to block all of that, but the more people who see us, the more people we can help, and that's what we're here to do. So subscribing would be awesome. I think that is it. This will be on Facebook later, of course, and YouTube next week. But Dana, it's just been so awesome to come over here and make this yummy food. And I feel a lot better about trying other methods besides the crock pot method. But you don't have to have a fancy machine to make your own medicine, and you don't have to spend a ton of money on CBD oil, because you can actually make it yourself. So hit her up on Infused KC on our Facebook page and all that.
Oh yeah. If you have any questions, please email me.
Yes, and we will tag her in this and all that good stuff. So thank you everyone for watching. It was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to have some hot chocolate later.
Yay. Bye guys.